Go.
Hey everyone, this is Irfan. Well, as I mentioned yesterday on my post, this is one opportunity that I dreamt of, and I have my inspiration seated right next to me. And he's none other than Zach. Zach, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
It's a pleasure.
So, first of all, Zach, we'd like to know who Zach is and what does he do?
You know, I'm a lucky guy. I like to call myself as one lucky guy. I get to do I get to follow my passion. I like to meet up people. I get to travel, and you know what? The funny part is, I get paid too. So this is what I do for a living. I speak, I train. I'm currently working with a multinational bank, and in all, I'm what I like to call myself as a lucky guy.
Wow, that's nice. Well, Zach, I understand you must have taken a lot of time to get there. Right now, since I have a lot of my students watching this as well, there are a lot of questions that they ask, and I thought you're the best person to ask that. Now, there are students out there who like to follow their passions. However, there's a lot of challenges in terms of how do you pay the debts for the loans that they've taken, and how do you balance it out? How do they choose their careers?
See, it's never an easy thing to do. But I believe in one thing, that if you have a passion, and the question I think should be slightly rephrased, is that look, if you have a passion and you want to make that your profession, will it give you enough money at the end of the day or not?
Correct.
Right? So I think the key point here is, I think every profession, every passion or any skill that you can think of will pay you some money or pay you huge sums of money depending on how good you are. So the challenge is, how much time are you willing to spend on becoming good? So let's take, for example, if you like cooking, for example, and you really like cooking, you got to be the best cook. And the best chefs in the world get paid a lot. You want to become a guitarist, you want to become a fitness expert, no matter what you choose, make sure you're very good at it. And you need to be able to struggle for those 10 or whatever the time is, then you're good. I can give you numerous examples of people who started from zero, became extremely successful simply because they never gave up. It's not easy, but I can take so many examples to prove to you that if you like something and you're willing to give it your best consistently, the world will tell you no. The world will push you to something, the safer zone. The world will push you to do things that everybody else is doing. But no, if you have a passion. Second thing is, very few people have a passion.
True.
Very few people have a passion. So if you're one of those people with a passion, pursue it. I meet people who want to become dancers but land up becoming engineers. I see people who want to take a photography, for example, and they land up becoming something else.
True.
So hey, pick up your passion, invest your time and energy into this. Don't worry about what everybody else tells you. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it.
Well, it is coming from someone whom we look up to, a lot of people look up to. These are the points that you need to pay attention to. While they do that, Zach, we sort of watched your video recently that you came up with, and while they're enduring these steps, a lot of us would face failures. How do you tackle that?
See, right from childhood, we are all conditioned to believe that we should not have failures, and in a way, we're all scared of failures.
True.
But I want to talk about a very good friend of mine who's my inspiration. A fine gentleman called Gautam Menon, who's a film director today of repute in the Tamil film industry. Arguably in my view, one of the best directors that I've seen. He had zero experience in filmmaking. He didn't come from a family of filmmakers. He had nothing. In fact, everybody laughed at him when he told us that he wants to take up film industry. I still remember this one day. During the first year, we were getting ragged, and we were trying to enact a scene out of the movie Nayagan. We were told that and I was this dead son, and Gautam was supposed to enact the crying father. There's a very famous Kamala Hassan scene which cries. It was a pretty humiliating experience for both of us because I was lying on the road. And as we got up and we were walking back to the hostel, he told me that, you know what, someday I am going to become a great film director. And 20 years later, I just saw a photograph of him and Maniratnam together, and I said, wow, man, how did you do it? And I know his struggle through the years. It's been tough. No filmy background and nothing to do with the industry, but just a passion. And I think he's failed so many times. And that's what I mean. Failure is sexy, because if you don't fail, you're never going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But what the big chunk or big word that's missing here is, you really need to be courageous also. So failure is sexy. The failure is bad only when you stop getting up. You haven't failed because you fall down. You have failed because you refuse to get up. So I tell all the young students out there saying that, hey, get up, get up, get up, and fall down, but get up. Fall down, but get up. Refuse to stay down, get up. And that's when failure becomes sexy. And you can take a lot of examples like this where people have fallen down but they've risen to great heights. If a person hasn't fallen down, trust me, he's not going to see success.
There you go. Well, I hope that, that inspires you to fail more. I think failing is good, as Zach rightly said. When you fail more, that's the chances of you getting successful pretty sooner. And moving on to the point, now we'd also like you all to go ahead and leave your comments, and if there's any questions, so we can answer them right away. Well, this is an opportunity, as I mentioned, that I was looking for and waiting for. Let's see if we've got any questions coming up. All right. Wait a second. And also let us know if you all can hear us. Maybe give us a thumbs up. Alright, I don't know if the internet connectivity is slow, or if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up, or just leave in a comment and let us know how. Okay, I think it's pretty clear. And forget about the sweat, that's because of the lights, no, that's bound to happen. Alright, Zach, moving on with next question. Now, I'd like to ask you, has there ever been an experience or a story that's moved you completely, maybe inspired you, empowered you?
I think, every single day, and I think one of the biggest stories that has empowered, which has been very, very moving for me and told me that you can succeed, is the story that I was talking about Gautam himself, and I want to stick to that, and a lot of other stories. But the reason I pick up this story is because it's a recognizable story. Somebody who's passionate about something, the world goes against him, telling that he should not take up, he's stupid to do something like this. But I know for sure that almost for 10 years he didn't have anything to take back home. To consistently believe that that's your calling and to stick to that till you actually succeed. To me, every time I meet him, it's a pleasure, it's an inspiration, and I seriously hope there are more people like him out there who are making really clean movies, who are not trying to take a shortcut. I know the amount of pressures that he goes through, but to me, people like him are a big inspiration. The only message I'll give to everybody is that it's not going to be easy, but once you cross that path, once you taste the success of, once you go that path of struggle, success is going to be sweet.
Perfect. Alright, well, now, I don't know about a lot of people who are watching there, but then listening to him right there, I feel inspired always. Now, as I wrote in the post as well, every 3 months once I pay a visit, maybe on a call, he somehow manages to give me the time and some words of inspiration, sort of lifts me up in case I've fallen down, and I'm not afraid of failure, and a lot of inspiration comes from him. Alright, and moving on, Zach, a lot of my students, I've been telling them how important it is to read books. Now on the background, if you see the list of books, and Zach said that's just a small portion. However, how do you think, how can a student pick up a book and start reading?
So I think it's not about, I don't think, there's a lot of things talked about reading, for example, right? But I think it's about being curious. Mm-hmm. You have two options, all of you there. Either you can meet so many people in your life and listen to their life stories, or pick up a book and read about his or her life story.
Absolutely.
I think it's more of a practice more than anything else, and a natural tendency to be curious. I think one of the things that is extremely important in today's world is to have an educated opinion about everything. And I think that's inherent. So you pick up any book, but I was talking to somebody the other day. You don't know what kind of people you're going to meet, and each person has a different interest. How boring it will be if you do not know what the person is talking about, right? So you meet a carpenter, and you know what? Know something about carpentry. You meet a musician, know something about music. You meet a software guy, know something about software. Now the point that I'm making is that reading makes you contemporary. Makes you in the present. Because, for example, if you are in some town somewhere far away, and if you're not reading, and you suddenly one fine day find yourself in a city like Bangalore, you are going to find it very, very difficult to adjust. I'll give you a simple example in my life. And I was born and brought up in a place called Aruvankadu. Aruvankadu is a non-descriptive place about 15 kilometers from Ooty. And the only thing that we had as exposure was books. By the time I finished college, by the time I finished schooling and went to college, I realized that I was well aware. I didn't find a cultural disconnect there. Or when I landed up in Pune, or when I landed up in other places, the sheer amount of reading that I'd done and the exposure made me connected. Reading and traveling are most important. Facebook likes friendship is a very, very different feeling, like than saying that, you know what, hey, you're fun, you're sitting with me, let's connect. So have connects, learn from people, talk to people who are not of your social class, of your place. Talk to a person who's very different from you. Talk to somebody from Calcutta, for example. Become friendly with a person who's from Rajasthan, from other countries. More the people you talk to, the more the books that you read, you are just making it easier for you in the days to come.
Brilliant. Well, I think that hopes, I'm sure that will inspire you to pick up some books, and that really, really helps. Thank you, Zach. I think I'm going to read more books and listen to more stories, and I think it's a brilliant point. Every person you meet, they've got a story to share, right?
Right.
Well, now, there you go. I have a lot of comments coming in as well. And now, one last thing, Zach, do you believe in quotes? A lot of people just share tons of quotes the moment you open the Facebook account. I don't know if they follow it, but do you personally have any special quotes that you follow?
Make your own quote. Create your own quote every morning. Get up in the morning and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to create a quote now. Okay. And I think every quote is because of somebody has some kind of experience in somebody's book. But the only one thing that I will tell all of you guys is have fun. I think we're all born to have fun. Somewhere down the line we forget that. Be a teenager, have fun, take risks. My quote is, be young forever and 18 till I die. Have fun.
Awesome. Well, that's about it. That's about it that we have for this session. Now, what we'd like you to do is, whoever's watching this later on, we'd like you to leave your comments and maybe ask any questions. I'll get back to Zach, get the answers for you. And if there's any episode that you'd like us to cover, we'll go ahead and cover that in weeks to come. Zach, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for making my dream come true.
You're most welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you all.
Cheers, everyone, and keep learning. Learning is always a journey. Cheers. Take care.